hey. Well, as you know, the new live-action Lion King comes out in a couple days. And I wanted to see the original cartoon before I went and seen it, but I couldn't find my copy of the Lion King. I did, however, find a bunch of video games, so I guess that's gonna have to do. So, I guess let's start off with the Lion King on Super Nintendo. You start off playing as young Simba with a couple attacks: rolling, pouncing, and roaring. Or meowing, actually. The roar is supposed to scare enemies, but since it's a meow, I think it kind of just surprises them. Like, what the heck was that? Later on, you become adult Simba, and now you can roar. You can also throw enemies and even slap them silly. Well, it's a pretty good game, but it does get hard at times. Like the Stampede level, where you have to watch out for the wildebeest, but also watch out for all the rocks. And the Hakuna Matata level, where you have to climb up a waterfall by jumping on the falling logs. It took me forever to get past this part. They also had this game on Game Gear, Game Boy, and Sega Genesis. But the Sega Genesis version is pretty much identical to the Super Nintendo, so let's go with Game Gear. What? That's the sound my kitten makes. This game is similar to the Sega and Super Nintendo ports, having many of the same levels and gameplay. However, there are some differences. If you play in easy mode, the game ends after the Stampede level. You have to select a harder skill level to play the rest of the game. And speaking of the Stampede level, instead of the front view like in the last game, it's a side view. And this time the wildebeest are trying to kill you. You walk slowly, so do they, but when you try to run away, they try to run you over. Well, it's a pretty good port, but I do have a few questions. Why can I walk in the elephant's skull, but the tusks are off limits? And why does Simba look like he's dead when he's thrown in the air? And why are those hippopotamuses missing their tails? And also, are they trying to give me nightmares with this game over screen? This game has a funny feature. When you push pause, it says pause. Get it? Like kitty paws? Let's move on to the Game Boy. More high quality sound effects, I see. So, just like in the other two games, you start off in the Pride Lands level, jumping onto rocks. Oh god, Simba! Are you okay? That doesn't look very good. You remember this level on the Game Gear version, how Simba uses the rhino's tail to get into the trees? Well, in this game, it looks a lot more painful. On the Stampede level, they chose a top-down view in this game. This probably is the easiest version of this level, but this game isn't very easy, and it's all because of the controls. They just feel so stiff, and it's hard to jump up on rocks and enemies because you keep messing up and dying. I couldn't make it past a waterfall. And every time you die, instead of just starting you off playing like the other games do, it shows the title card of the level you're on. Every time you die. Now, it doesn't seem like such a big deal because the title card only lasts a few seconds, but it gets old fast. Well, with such horrible controls and the low graphics, I think this is probably the worst port to play this game. But hey, speaking of graphics, let's move on to a 3D Lion King game with Simba's Mighty Adventure on the Sony PlayStation. And so, once again, we start off playing as young Simba. But instead of collecting bugs, you collect paw prints and letters that spell out Simba. You still have the same moves as the other games, but in this game, you have other characters from the movie telling you how to do the moves.
Simba, you must learn to roar. Press the roar button to scare your enemies.
Along the way, you'll pass Zazu, who is the checkpoint in this game.
What are you doing, Simba?
What am I doing? What do you think I'm doing? I'm falling to my death, you idiot. That's the thing about Zazu in this game. He doesn't do anything. In the movie, he's supposed to be Simba's caretaker, but here he watches Simba fall into lava and get attacked by hyenas, and he just sits there saying,
Checkpoint?
I think Simba would be safer with Scar watching him.
To be a true king, little Simba, you must learn to defeat enemies. Press the roll button to attack your enemies.
Okay, thanks, I'll give it a shot. So after playing a couple more levels as young Simba, you then play as adult Simba.
Checkpoint?
After getting to the end of the levels there, you have to fight Scar. Or I guess it's fighting. It's more like you try to jump on him while he dances. Then all of a sudden the game turns into Lion King 2, where you gotta rescue Kiara from the fire, run away from a herd of rhinos, and then fight Zira. Or, well... There are also some mini games you can play, like this one with Rafiki, but I couldn't figure it out. Well, there we go. Now that I've played all these games, I think I understand how the movie goes. Simba runs around killing every animal he sees, while also training for American Ninja Warrior so he can grow up to have a dance battle with his Uncle Scar.